Let's embark on a journey through the world of fine food. I'm Penny Lane, and In the Driver's Seat starts now. Welcome to In the Driver's Seat, where each episode we take you on a journey into the lives of industry trailblazers and entrepreneurs who've carved their own unique paths to success. In this episode, I sit down with an inspiring business owner making her mark. Joining me now is Melinda, founder of a very special luxury food company. Hello Melinda, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Penny.
Thanks so much for coming on the show. Now, to kick it off, please tell me the name of your luxury food company, how you say it and what it means.
So it is a made-up word. So it is Omnivorium and then Specialty Providores, just to tell people what we do. And it's basically a combination of the word omnivore and emporium. I used to trade as chop shop carnivorium, but as I broadened my product portfolio, it made sense to have a name that was less meat centric. Yeah. So Omnivorium was born 1st of July 2022.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about your brand and the types of foods that you produce.
Okay, so I'm not a producer. I scour the country for artisanal products that fit in with my business ethos and that I think suit my customer profile. So I predominantly sell preservative-free and free-range small goods and salumi and charcuterie. That said, and one of the major reasons for the trading name change is my biggest seller is in fact the only organic and sourdough crumpet. So I get these beautiful crumpets and pizza bases as well from a beautiful producer called Silver Creek Sourdough in Beechworth. So I look for products that have a story, that are clean. And that, of course, delicious. They have to be delicious first and foremost. Yeah. Retail packaging wise, they have to be attractive because we all do it. We all shop with our eyes.
We do.
And yeah, so that's the sort of thing that I do.
And who are your customers?
So I guess a typical customer profile for me would be an organics or a whole food store, or indeed a high-end retailer, someone who stocks, high-end artisanal, again, delicious food products. Now, my products, all but two, are Australian-made. Yes. And so, even like some really fabulous fruit barns, a fruitologist is one example. They've got a couple of stores, one in Bondi, one in Rozelle, predominantly a fruit and vegetable store, but they've just got so much amazing grocery lines and deli, cheeses and small goods. And
it sounds like you've
that.
Really got a passion for food. Have you always had that passion for food?
Yeah, I think it was sort of latent when I was younger. My plan was to study law.
Wow. It's very different.
Yeah, and it is. I ended up studying politics. I only finished 3 years ago, which is not so different because I think there is a lot of politics in food. I've always said to my mates that if I was to stay on and do an honours or a master's in politics, it would be around the politics of protein. So, still, even though we're in such a globalised world, there's still, there's a class system in terms of access to different types of food. For example, proteins, dairy products are really expensive. And so, an example would be, the emerging middle class in India and in China, where they are eating more meat and more dairy products in their diet.
Now, Melinda, you've had some judging opportunities in the food industry. How did you come about that? And is that something you'd like to be doing more of?
Oh, look, I think that when you've been loitering for as long as I have in the industry, you eventually get recognised as someone who knows what they're talking about, I suppose. And probably having a cookery background helps, where you have a developed palate. And then when you, I guess, having specialised in cheeses and also small goods and salumi, I also did do a course through the Australian Olive Association. I guess you're recognised for knowing good product and therefore being able to scrutinise your peers, your producers, the producers around the country, and I guess also that knowledge of what is it that makes something near perfect.
Yeah, and how does Australia compete on the luxury food world stage?
Look, I think it's an amazing producer country. I think because we've got so many different microclimates, we're able to produce so many different types of foods. I've got a friend of mine who grows Thai ingredients, high fresh aromatics and herbs and vegetables up sort of North New South Wales and maybe closer to Queensland because of that tropical weather or geography there. And then you've got, truffle producers in WA, in Tasmania, in Bowral. We've got saffron growers who are, typically, you think of the Middle East or you think of Spain to produce saffron. Actually, one of my producers is an olive grower and she also produces saffron. We make a lot, we grow and produce a lot of stuff. I guess if I was to be critical of what we could be doing, it would be evaluating. But I think that's across the board, not just in terms of food products. I just think there's an expression in political science called the quarry mentality, and we're really great at producing raw stuff, mining things out of the ground. But then when it comes to value adding, I think we're not as progressed as other countries. Mind you, again, staying on politics, I told you it was a very political industry. The European, the EU provides funding to artisanal food producers, whereas our product is, obviously we've got high wage costs and stuff. I'm getting boring now, aren't I?
You're not boring.
But basically, I think that there is a different understanding of the importance of food culturally in Australia. We're still quite young in terms of developing our own, our own flavour. Yeah. Our own flavours, our own cuisine, if you will.
Coming from the UK, I think Australia's probably got the best food in the world. I remember when I first moved over here and I'd be taking photos of tomatoes and different vegetables because they look so healthy. Now, Melinda, I did read that, like me, you left home at a very early age. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And was that part of your driving force to be successful?
Look, I was kind of planning it, but without going into details, it did not happen on my terms. I basically had to leave suddenly. I had no skills at all.
How old was you at that time?
I was 18.
18.
And when you're a migrant's kid, that's quite young because I guess... whilst my mother was a very modern woman, she came to Australia when she was 10. Sorry, that's Valentina, my dog.
You don't.
I think that it was more difficult perhaps than if I was, I was born here, but I think it was difficult because, you're kind of sheltered a little bit because... it was difficult, but I had to sort of just get on with it and find a way to make money. I had to start paying rent. And so I ended up in a cafe on Oxford Street making terrible coffees. If you remember back in the day, it was like the Opera House foam, was considered a bang-on cappuccino. Of course, you'd never be caught dead doing that now. And then before I knew it, I had already been... I had my own cooking show, you see, when I was about 5 or 6, and I used to talk to the wall in an American accent. So I had my own show.
Like very own Shirley Valentine. You really have carved an amazing career for yourself. We're almost out of time, but just really quickly, what would you say to any people that have left home early or have got aspirations to do a role similar to yourself?
I think be very picky about who it is that you learn from. Think about what kind of a career that you want to forge for yourself. Think about the kind of, for example, I went from the kitchen after 7 years into supplying beautiful cheeses to the top restaurants and food stores in Sydney. But when I was cooking, for example, I was very careful about who it is I go and work for, because I wanted to learn new skills. And, there's only so much you can learn from reading. And so who you work for, who become your mentors, I encourage people
mentors.
To find
I do hear that a lot, that mentors are really important. That's all we've got time for. I'm so sorry, Melinda. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. It's been really interesting to hear about your career, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Penny.
Thanks for watching. In the Driver's Seat is brought to you by the Perfect Cosmetics Company. Join me next time to learn more from industry legends about how you can take the wheel and steer your life in the right direction.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.